Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the 16th episode of the SuperNova Show. And I am your host, Colton and Robert. This is going to be an interesting show. We're going to talk some Schmoedown Throwdown, some fan league stuff. We've got Phase 2 of the MCU. That's going to be really exciting. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 5. So this is going to be a good show. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Mr. Robert Castner.
Hey.
What's up?
Back again.
Yes, sir.
That's what I do. I come here on Fridays right after work. But even though this airs on a Sunday.
Yep. Well, since we don't have any predictions for this week, we don't have to go back in time or anything.
We don't have to Mr. Peabody and Sherman this. We can just stay where we are.
Yep. So, this week is going to be very, very interesting. As I told people last week, Saturday, the 17th, is my 30th birthday.
Yes.
And
happy early/late birthday, depending on when you watch this.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And just so that the universe thinks, haha, we got him, I have a zit. And it's really, I haven't had a zit in probably about 6 years.
Wow.
But right before my 30th birthday, they're like, ooh, zit. And right before I get on camera, boom, it appears. And I would rather point it out than have people in the comments point it out. So yeah, I have a zit on my face.
So you're getting ahead of it. You're B-rabbiting it.
Yep.
Taking the power away from the others.
That is correct. But so how you been this week?
It's been a pretty busy week. I got a lot of things coming up that we'll probably discuss later on in the episode, but I'm doing a lot of preparation, plus work is ramping up for me as I'm getting further along in my duration of being at the job. So they're expecting more of me, which hurts my ability to do the other things that I like to do, namely watch movies. But otherwise, doing all right. Happy it is Friday.
Yeah, I agree completely. Glad it's Friday. Yeah, I was off work today because my place of employment, they give you your birthday off. But since my birthday's on a Saturday, I could take the Friday or any other day during the month. So I took today off. So that was
that thing where your birthday's on a weekday when you're in school, and people usually give you a easier time then. Same kind of thing.
Yep. It's been a really interesting week. Me and the kids are gonna go. I'm teaching them how to play golf tomorrow, so I'm gonna go do that. As long as neither one of them, as they're going for their backswing, lets the club go and hits me in the head, my birthday should be great.
Or in any other sensitive part of your body.
Yeah, but I'll probably be blocked. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. But
so did you have an enjoyable tax day, or as I called it yesterday, a fake tax day, because technically tax day is in a month.
Yeah, and I think in North Carolina they extended it to July.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here it's May 17th right now, but who knows? It will be.
Yep. Yeah, it was a lovely day, I guess.
It was a great day for me because I won my first Full Metal Classic.
Oh, that's good.
After so many tries and so many opportunities of failing at it, I finally won one.
That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you've been having a good week. It's always nice to hear the people on my show are having a good week. So
yeah, no, it hasn't been bad. Just been very rainy here, so it's been very dour in terms of how it shades the environment, how that shades your perspective on things sometimes and your mood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The weather here has been really nice, except for it's pollen time. So that's loads of fun. And as a person who, I have no sinus cavities.
Oh.
So this time of year, ruins all of everything, because typically, pollen gets in your head and then it migrates south, but whenever it can't migrate south, it just stays in your face, and that's really annoying. So
I can imagine. I used to not have allergies, and then they developed over time, and seasonally, when it gets to this time, it starts to be very effective on me.
yeah. But let's move on to some Schmoedown stuff. This will be good. So, have you watched any of the matches from this week?
I have not watched any matches this week, but I obviously did watch the Throwdown from last week.
All right. So, what did you think of the Throwdown?
I was very entertained by it. I thought the videos before, the Adam Collins prepping with his day in a life with him and the belt was funny, and I did enjoy the Winston coming in and shaking things up with Laura Kelly and with Chandru. I really enjoyed that part of it. Nice redemptive thing for Winston, so he didn't seem like such a doormat. So that was cool. And Paul helping him out, that was neat. So I like that. I was very impressed by the result of one match. And while we talked about it last week, the other match did not go as we expected. It was still a great match. It was probably going to be one of the better matches that you'll see in the year.
Yeah. So Stacey Howard and Kevin Smith, that was quite a doozy. Like,
yeah,
it was really good. Like, I played along with that one, and I did fairly well. Like, I was thoroughly impressed. I'm thinking to myself, ooh, if my singles matches in any of the other leagues are anything like this, then I will do just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was good. So how do you feel about that challenge for the extra point?
So this is one of those things where trying to do a joke answer with the real answer didn't really pay off. I think when you do things where you preempt an answer with a story like he had done, like he had mentioned as part of his case, if you're not saying the answer within it, or you're not saying something else entirely, then you can go off on a tangent like that. But when you say the name of another film, even if it's not a theatrically released film, if it's another film, then they have to take that, I think, as the answer. So I think I understand the reasoning behind it, given how it is that he laid it out, like it was a judiciary hearing with a case of precedence. But I think if you say the wrong answer, even if the real answer is within that wrong answer, you shouldn't get credit for it. So I agree with the ruling on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of agree with it. But like you said, there was no theatrically released movie that was called that. So it should go with the benefit of the doubt clause that there's only one movie that's called anything sort of like that. But I mean, it didn't really matter in the end of all things.
No, it didn't matter at all.
But he still got it done.
That was the only technical question he missed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was fine. It just ruins his accuracy a little bit.
Yeah, like he did really good.
He did. The amazing part about that was the second round to me, because Stacey got spinner's choice and she went with a category that she thought she'd do well in, but he stole a bit of it. And then he got Whoopi Goldberg, which he was iffy on, but he killed that category. So it was another one of those things where a lot of times you're trying to be careful of other people's strengths or your weaknesses, but sometimes you also have to be careful of your own strengths. You take what you know for granted. And I think that's what she did with Nora Ephron.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And now, of course, the main event.
Yes.
Adam Collins versus Dan Merle.
Of course, so much hype, so much buildup.
Like, that is insane. Like, not only does this now have a different meaning, throwing up the 5, but like, I don't know. Do you ever pay attention to the Schmoedown page on Facebook?
Pay attention to it. What do you mean exactly?
Like,
I'm aware of it and I read some posts. That's
okay.
all.
So that that match made a certain fan post so much on their like spoiler post about it, and it just got annoying to where I just muted it.
My favorite part about it was when they announced Dan Merle as the player of the week, and one person tried to make the case that it should have been Adam Collins because he technically answered more questions right. And everybody was like, this is like giving the MVP in sports championships to the people on the losing team, which sometimes happens if there's nobody worthy on the other side. But clearly Dan was worthy enough because he only answered one fewer question and got the win. So
yeah, like it's such a weird thing. Like out of the 3 5-pointers that Adam Collins has ever had to answer, he's only ever been able to answer 1.
Secret window, I believe, is what it was.
Yeah, like so that's his kryptonite.
For now, yeah.
For now.
The beginning of that match was the interesting part. It seemed like it was one of those feeling out processes, even though they had already played in December, because Dan ends up using 2 JTEs in the first round. And even though it was 7-6, it kind of didn't feel like it was 7-6. Kind of felt like it was more like 4-3 or 5-4. It felt more like offensive struggle, but they were right where they usually are. And Dan swept his round, and it got to a point where, as they were talking about it, they were even neck and neck the whole way up until the speed round. And Dan missed one question in the speed round. You're like, that's it. You're toast. Yeah. And he pulled the Scarlett Johansson question, which wasn't a hard question, but if you don't know it, you don't know it. But he pulled that one. And I knew his 5-pointer because that's come up a lot. And if Amaru was here, he would talk about that all the time because that's one of the movies he writes a lot of questions about, The Best Man. I didn't know Collins' 5-pointer, but I guessed it correctly because I was like, I don't know what this is. And then I thought about movies in the 90s that sounded similar to it. And I was like, I think it's A Perfect Murder, but that would be a total guess. And I was surprised he didn't pull that. I was surprised he gave an answer that clearly was not the answer, but he got rattled by that one, I guess.
Yeah.
Or he intentionally lost so that he could play more matches and get more points.
I don't want to say ever that.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
That's how they tried to play it off in the post interview.
Yeah, like Shannon, you could tell she was a little rattled by the law to where when he threw out that, oh, he's going to go for all the belts. Yeah. He's going to go Star Wars and he's going to go IG. I was like, oh, yes, please. Because, he's played in IG in the fan leagues before. He
would be a top tier geek player even with no prep.
Yep.
Let's be honest about
that. Yeah, so I'm surprised, Dan Merle, 5-time champion now. So
are we to believe that the next number 1 contender match is Roca and Bateman, or is that like a match to get to a number 1 contender match?
I think it is a match to get to a number 1 contenders match, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Of those 2, who would you like Dan to play more?
I want him to play Roca purely for the story.
It would be a better story because Dan's already beat Bateman twice, and even though those were both close, Dan hasn't beat Roca 1-on-1 yet.
Yeah, he has never beat Roca 1-on-1, so that would be good. Roca is 100% against Dan. So for the story, I would like that, but realistically, I think Ben's got it.
If the Roca that played against Liz Shannon Miller plays against Ben, I'm not sure because I think Roka could get in Ben's head if Ben misses a question or two. So I'm not sure actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be, but I think Ben could get in Roka's head too.
That's quite possible. I think if they were in person, it would be more likely. I think over the internet, I don't think it translates as well.
Yeah, and then of course next weekend is the free for all. Do you have any early predictions for who you want to see go after that?
I assume Collins will win it because
the
last time there was a free for all, he dominated it.
Yeah, honestly, it's really hard for me to vote against Bibiani.
Yeah,
like
I could see that.
I want him to win one because he always does so well, but I think what Christian said, there's going to be more variety of questions. So there's going to be like Star Wars and geek questions in there. So that
if you looked at the poster for it, somebody who is a regular on this show is on the poster for the free for all.
Yep, he sure is.
And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that could be very interesting.
I wonder what that means.
And I don't know if you ever watched like the Champion of Champions match last season between Dan Roka,
Smets, and Damon. Yeah, I watched that one.
Yeah, Damon did really well in regular trivia.
Damon was surprisingly good.
Yeah, so
if you have a brain for the stuff that you could do with Star Wars, if you spent like a couple hours or like an hour a day on regular movie stuff, you could probably absorb that too.
Yeah, especially since like the free for all is pretty surface level stuff. They don't really ask deep cuts.
No, there are some hard questions in it for sure, but mostly, it's more cumulative data driven questions than anything.
Yeah, and so someone like that could do it again. Like, Amaru could totally. That would be the best.
That would be interesting. Have you ever watched the like the Game of Factions or whatever in multiplex, or when they do the free for all? Because they do mix Warzone and fandom questions in that.
No,
okay. You have to be very well rounded in that to actually make it very far, which is why my faction mate Jake Meltzer did very well because he plays in both and he's a cyborg. So if you're that kind of person, and I know Rue is mostly a geek person, but he has the brain where he could absorb a lot of things and probably has heard a lot of the questions that will end up being in there. I wouldn't be surprised if someone who was a geek person came out of that one.
Yeah, that one would be really interesting because I don't think we've ever seen someone who won the free for all go for the IG belt.
No.
Or the Star Wars belt for that matter. Like, I think it's always been teams or singles.
My guess would be, so like if Collins wins, my guess would be is that he would probably, unless he wants to do something crazy, my guess would be he would try to like go for a team belt. Because he's going to get to the singles belt very quickly. He wouldn't need to waste it on that. If Dan or Ben got it, they would probably use it on a team's shot, right? If someone like, I don't know, if Rue won it, obviously he'd go for an IG belt.
Yeah,
pretty clear.
If someone like Kalinowski,
he might go for IG.
Yeah, because he already has the number one contenders match in teams.
Well, he's close to number one contenders match in geek.
IG too. So
maybe he would do singles.
Yeah,
I think Bibbs would do singles since they have a team's title shot coming up.
Yep.
It's all interesting. I don't know if anybody would challenge for the Star Wars belt. I don't think anybody would. I think that would be insane.
Yeah, no. Unless it was one of like the lower tiered Star Wars players that just so happened to like win off a random question.
I feel like he wouldn't let them do it because I don't think they want a repeat of the Damon, the guy he played, Brian Green or whatever.
Oh, Bruce Green, yeah.
Bruce Green, yeah. They don't want a repeat of that.
Yeah.
And if it was Damon, if it was Laura Kelly, if it was Demolanta. I think any of those three would totally wipe anybody who's a lower tier Star Wars player.
Yeah, like, yeah, I agree. Like, I could see someone like if they put like Molly in there, like that would be the best. Like that would be the best for the story is just the if she just held on to it for a really long time until her husband did it.
I'm sure there's a year. I'm sure it expires after a year.
Yeah.
I know in other leagues they do that. So my rankings for factions to win the free for all would be like corruption, dungeon, Shazam or Corgi Mercs, and then like maybe the stars, and then like other people.
Yeah, that's the one problem. Like Jeff Snyder, he could do really well unless they ask him a Harry Potter question.
I mean,
or anything in IG, then he's out.
He's disappointed me in free for alls. So
yeah.
I don't know why that wouldn't continue.
Yeah, like so do you have a problem if they decide to let champions be in the match? Because I have always not liked that.
No, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Mainly because like the free for all is based on the Royal Rumble and the Money in the Bank contract. It's kind of a mixture of those two. And typically you don't have your world champion in either of those matches.
No, but in wrestling, they don't have a lot of people who are crossover belt potential champions, and this they can. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. But yeah, like so that's the part that it aches a little bit for me. Like I like that Dan won a few years ago because then it, they got to challenge corruption. It was good for the story.
I think the only time the result was kind of odd was when Brienne won it. And I'm only saying that because of how that shot ended up going, which was well. But I think that was Bibbs to win, and he just got some weird questions on that last round.
And the last round of that match, they did it where the person with the highest score eliminated everyone else.
Yes. And
that's not how it is now. No. It's whoever has the lowest score is out. So
they go bit by bit.
Yeah.
It's not just another round and whoever wins that is the free-for-all champion. And I wasn't saying that like Brienne was unworthy. I'm just saying of everybody who won, who got to use their title shot, hers was the worst.
Yeah. Because she brought in someone to play, and
Bald Brian, who never played, and they played the Shire Wolves.
Yep, and
great.
Like if she had brought in and 6 Degrees had played for the belt, that would have been really cool.
It would have been a more fun type of thing.
Yeah, like even though they would have still lost, but it would have been nice to have 2 factions full of females instead of 1 faction full of females and then 1 faction of I don't know who this guy is.
Or if it was Brienne and Janine or somebody like that.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean. Sam, when he won, it was kind of out of left field a little bit because he wasn't Sam Levine yet, but he got to come out, and that was a fun part of the collision when he got to challenge Dan, and that was a good match. He wasn't again at his peak, but he was like ramping up to his peak, and you could see it in that match.
So I know Christian's talked about like he's wanted to do what ifs before, and he has always said that, because he had Gucci and Sam be like the last 2 people.
Yeah.
Because obviously they know what the order is that people are playing in.
Yeah.
So he had wrote something to where if Gucci won and then went on to win the world title, how that would have went. And he said last year before 2020 happened, they were going to film like what if matches, and that was going to be one of them if Gucci won free for all and challenged Christian at Spectacular for the championship.
Jesus Christ. If that Commissioner Bowl was any indication, it would have been a shit show.
Well, yeah, technically, like Gucci should have won that. Like, if you go by the rules now, David Ayers is a benefit of the doubt thing. Like, David Ayer is not even an actor or a director, so it would go by the benefit of the doubt clause, and he would have won that match. He would have won the commissioner ball, which him as a commissioner would have been insane.
I don't see quite to your level on that one, but fair enough.
Okay. But I'm trying to think. Is there anything interesting coming on the fan leagues?
Well, before we get into that, did you watch any of the other matches? Any of the regular
yes
matches this week?
Yep. Thomas Harper beat Adam Witt in Star Wars, which was a really good match. That was the best match Adam Witt has put on. Normal, like if he had just gotten if he had done better in round one, because he perfected round 2 and 3, he did great. If he had done better in round 1, he would have won that match. And which is crazy because Thomas Harper is supposed to be this like Dragon Con god,
like Marie Wilson.
Yeah, and he did not do as well. Like, I don't know if he's just not used to the format, which might be what it is. But yeah, like that was Adam's match to lose. Like if he had went perfect in round 1, just like Thomas did, he would have won the match. And then I saw that Khan TKO'd whoever the dungeon.
Flick. Jonathan Flick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flick pick guy, Flickinger.
Yeah, and then I was watching it, trying to watch Drew McWeeny versus Lon Harris. I watched the first big promo. It was really, really good. And then before, like, I never watch it live where it, like, when it debuts. So I couldn't fast forward through all them announcing stuff and fell asleep during that and woke up to Lon winning the match.
Whoa, no way, really?
Yeah. And I was like, what? And I was like, I don't have enough time. Like, I woke up at like 6:43 and I was like, I have to go prep for the podcast. I need to go do that right now.
That was like McWeeney's first match in 2 years or something, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, that was interesting. And
rookies winning stuff, I don't know what to feel about it yet, because it's just the first match. I don't know what it really entails, when they actually start playing established people as opposed to new people. I know Adam Witt is established, but he's on the lower end of that because he hasn't won anything yet. And then I don't know about that other singles match that you mentioned. Lon beating McWeeny is interesting because I think that probably puts Lon on a short-ish track to contendership.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what happened in the match. I just know that he won.
Yeah. Results are the main part when it comes to the match itself. So
yeah. But yeah, like it's going to be a very, very interesting time. Like, I can't wait for Free for All next week. Hopefully, someone that we didn't even talk about comes out and just wins it, or whatever. That'd be good. But
I don't think who that would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Andrico?
Maybe. I'm trying not to think of too many people because then I'll refer to them, and I want it to be someone we don't even talk about. Okay. So just it comes out of nowhere and wins. Right.
No more names. We'll just leave it at that. No more names.
So you got anything, fan league?
So important things that have happened in the fan league. In opening night trivia, they announced their slate for the next few months. So Caleb Boatman just had beat Jake Meltzer for the singles title, but they're going to get to a point where they're going to have a title match for that in June, I believe. So there is a pathway for another contendership for that. Full Metal just started up singles. We had a great debut match between Mark Menchaca and my faction mate in Fun DMC, David Nishimoto, and David won by TKO. It was the first match of Jake Meltzer as the head writer in Full Metal, what that was like. And if you watch the match, it seems like playing in Full Metal singles, which I will be doing this year, it will be very, 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 very difficult. So don't know how we're looking at that. Geek, they're going to start up soon, as you and I both know.
Yeah.
I have a match that is taping soon, or if you've watched this, might have already taped. So that will be coming up. Full Metal Teams is also going to be starting soon, taping for that. And in Multiplex, they are starting to tape for the Fandom tournament, and they're going to start the singles in Warzone tournament. So there will be lots of content that's rolling out. We're just seeing kind of like the last vestiges of people playing in those leagues, leading to seeding for the eventual tournaments. So that's all that's going on. I have a crap ton of stuff within all of that. I think I have 5 matches that are scheduled or about to be scheduled out that are coming up in the next like 4 weeks. So if you hate seeing me on here and you watch in the fan leagues, you're going to hate a lot of that because I'm going to be showing up quite a bit.
Yeah, I have a match in Full Metal Geek. So got to figure out what my strength is going to be since I'm playing against someone who's I don't think has ever played before.
And newbie.
Or he's at least not played in any fan league thing that I've ever seen. Like if it's some obscure thing, like I've YouTubed his name and everything, and I
like that.
Yep, and I couldn't find anything.
That happened to me in a recent match, and I only had 2 things on him, and they were from over a year ago. And I was like, great, that doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah, so I got to figure out my own strength, and
you know your strengths. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I do.
I don't want to say it on here. I get you.
Well, I mean, there's like 4 different options, and that's really frustrating. So
just got to pick one and go with it, man. I spent a lot of my time over this week watching Full Metal. Okay, I do know that name. I do know names. I spent a lot of my time this week watching geek mixed bag movies. Just because they're movies I either haven't seen or I'm concerned that questions will come up about it. And I didn't feel like rewatching movies in the franchises that I feel I know very well. So Ninja Turtles movies, The Crow.
Yeah.
Power Rangers. I watch that shit.
Yeah, like it's going to be a very interesting few weeks. Of course, like we got the Clash of Combatants and Combat Wrestling Trivia coming down, and that's always fun. Like I will promote that league as much as I can on this show because I enjoy all of that because it's not stressful. Like now I'm having to start studying for geek, and I'm like, at least like, you know, being on this show and us reviewing, so far we've been reviewing a lot of geek movies, so that helps a lot.
Doesn't it?
My mindset in that, but yeah, like going over names and dates and composers and all that stuff is just loads of fun.
Composers.
Yep.
You just got to make up a bunch of acronyms and mnemonic devices for everything, and you'll be just fine.
Oh, yes.
I don't do any of that. I'm just saying. But you could. Maybe.
No, I have 2 kids and a wife. I don't have time for that.
Got to steal time.
Yeah, now I do like the fact that where I've been studying, my wife watches NCIS Los Angeles, and I'll be like, ooh, there's Robin, Chris O'Donnell, and I'll be like, if there's a question ever about that, I know who it is because it pisses my wife off when I call him Robin. She's like, it's not Robin, it's Agent. I don't know his actual name in the show.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's Robin. So
NCIS Los Angeles was the show that I deemed would be the greatest show ever made because it had Robin and LL Cool J. I was like, well, this is going to be the greatest show ever. I never really watched it, so I have no idea. But it's still going, so people must enjoy it.
Yeah, she loves all those shows.
It crossed over with Hawaii Five-0, I believe, and I used to watch that. So,
But she watches all of those shows, and there's so many people like. I probably wouldn't have had the realization before I started trivia, but like random people are in movies that I've watched, and I'm like, I'll be like, wait, where do I know them from? Ooh, insert movie here. And she'll be like, what? And I was like, sorry, it's a trivia thing. I just remember stuff.
I do the same
But
thing. My wife is like, oh yeah, because I'll try to relate it to things that we've watched.
Yeah, that's like to keep on the NCIS bandwagon. Is NCIS New Orleans had Lucas Black in it for a really long time, and I'm like, ooh, Fast and the Furious.
Yep.
And now they've displayed that he's going to be in Fast 9, and apparently they go into space or something.
There's rockets and spacesuits, and not only him but Bow Wow as well, also in Fast 9.
Yep, and then John Cena, which
Helen Mirren is drifting. She's driving a car.
Yeah, like
how about that?
It's I will watch that movie. Like for the exact same reason that I would watch, the other movies for The Rock. John Cena's my boy. He's a wrestling guy, so I gotta support him. If I don't
watch The Marine not for him necessarily, but I did enjoy that. And 12 Rounds, I did watch that. So, there are things. There are things I like that he's in.
Dude, he's so funny. He is so funny.
We were gonna start watching Wipeout with him and Nicole Byer, because she does Nailed It, which is a Netflix show, cooking show that we watch. And we're like, well, I mean, that has to be the funniest thing ever. We just haven't got to it yet because I've been too busy with other things.
Yeah. All right. So you wanna go ahead and move on to MCU Phase 2?
Yes, let's go ahead. I think we've mined everything we could out of Schmoedown Fan Leagues.
All right, so MCU Phase 2. This is going to be a good time. Last week, I promised a rant on the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. And not to disappoint.
Are you going to close up?
Yeah, as soon as I figure out how to... Yeah, okay. Iron Man 3.
Yep.
The promotional stuff, you promised us the Mandarin. It was so cool. As a person who has read the comics... The Mandarin is essentially the only Iron Man villain who just doesn't steal Tony's technology. It was going to be so cool. And Trevor Slattery, seriously, an actor? And then we have to have Aldrich Killian be, oh, I'm the real Mandarin. No, you're not. No, you're not. Shut up. I don't even know. Like, to the point where I just forgot who plays Aldrich Killian. Name ends in Pierce, but I cannot remember for the life of me.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce, thank you. Yeah, movie pisses me off so much I just failed the trivia thing. Thank you, Iron Man 3. I so appreciate it. But, like, it's so just the worst. It is my least favorite, one of my least favorite MCU movies. I'm not going to say my least favorite. I will say it. My least favorite MCU movie. I don't think it's the worst MCU movie, but it is definitely my least favorite.
Okay. You know what? That's a fair point. And by the way, if you want trivia things from Iron Man 3, he shows Pepper, Killian shows Pepper an image of his brain before the universe, or the universe before his brain. Happy really likes Downton Abbey. Harley's watch, his sister's watch, has Dora the Explorer on it, and James Badge Dale plays Savin. Those are like the 4 things that come up a lot anytime trivia comes up.
Yeah, if I ever mess up a Dora question, my wife will kill me.
Ooh.
So
there you go.
You don't have to worry about that one.
Okay. But the central point of your argument is that it is a terribly executed movie because it promises things and not only doesn't deliver, but delivers in such a way that makes you hate yourself, and it's your least favorite.
Yes, absolutely. Like, There are some parts of the movie, like all of Tony's PTSD stuff, great. I understand. You go through an alien wormhole and you almost die, you better have PTSD. I like that part of the movie, but that is the 1% of the movie that does not piss me off. The rest of it, we were lied to by the marketing. Like, if I just seen it right now without never seeing any of the marketing, I probably think it was an okay movie. But watching trailer after trailer after trailer of Ben Kingsley just talk and be like,
"You'll never see me coming."
Yeah, it was great. And
it's actually, interestingly enough, I don't like the PTSD stuff as much. And the only reason I don't is because when you have a movie that's called Iron Man 3, Tony Stark is Iron Man for like 5% of the movie. I know the point is that he doesn't need the armor to be Iron Man, but when it's marketed as Iron Man, he's not in the Iron Man armor. Hardly at all.
I agree.
I don't like. The PTSD stuff is interesting, but I thought I'd be more interested if he had more PTSD in the suit.
Yeah, every time Harley asks him about New York, or anyone asks him about New York, and he's just like, stop. But hopefully Shang-Chi does all of that for the Mandarin, so then I can just, because they did that little one shot of Ben Kingsley being in the prison.
Yep.
And the real Mandarin is out there and he's mad that he was being, which, they only filmed that because everyone lost their mind over the Mandarin twist. But since he's out there, I hope they do a good job. I have not looked into that movie because I don't want to know who's been cast as it, and I don't want to know anything because I just don't want to have any expectations about that.
I have an expectation for who I think it is, and because somebody had brought it up. I also think it had been movie fought at some point about who should play the Mandarin, and I had glommed onto one person's argument as a reason why this person should be the Mandarin, and I'm hoping it's that person.
But okay, so the 6 movies, Iron Man 3.
It's such a crapshoot.
Yeah.
These 6 movies, honestly, it's so up and down.
Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier,
awesome.
Yep. Guardians of the Galaxy, good.
Great.
Age of Ultron,
meh. A lot of meh.
And then Ant-Man,
pretty good.
Yeah,
I would say it's half and half for me.
So with those 6 movies, I'll ask you the same question that I asked you last week.
Okay.
Your favorite character in Phase 1 was Tony Stark.
Yes.
How has that transitioned into Phase 2?
In Phase 2, my favorite character ended up being, well, it was probably more so Captain America, Steve Rogers, but I really enjoyed Guardians so much that my favorite character was probably ended up being like Groot. And he's only in one movie. So if you look at it in more of a continuation, because they were in more movies, I would say Captain America. But if you're saying overall in that phase, I will say Groot is my favorite superhero because he actually has superpowers.
Now, for me, the transition for Tony through Phase 1 and Phase 2, I think is a lot. At the end of Phase 2, Tony is still my favorite character.
Interesting.
Like, I still like in Ultron, I understand why he thinks that that's the path. It's the wrong one, but I understand. And that leads into, Civil War, where I understand that, but we'll talk about that next week. So yeah, like I completely, it's Iron Man for me.
I don't like what they do to him in Age of Ultron because I think they turn him into a half step below being a villain, and I don't like that for him at that time, or I don't like how it's executed. I think, especially when they get to the part where he's about to resurrect Ultron, I don't like that fight that they have. I think it's stupid. It's fine. I just think other people usurp him in my mind, and maybe I'm a creature of someone who can be bought out by recency bias, but somebody new coming in, other characters that I hadn't seen that I was introduced to through a movie, I was willing to change because I did not like what Phase 2 did to Tony Stark. Personally.
Yeah, like that's one of the beats in Iron Man 3 that I like. Again, I like the PTSD thing. So of course he thinks, hey, I have this option to make this AI and it will protect the entire world. And then knowing, hey, if Ultron had turned out like, not a psychopath, which guess what? He was on the internet for 6 seconds and then realized humans need to die. I understand that because I have been on Facebook before. So, yeah, people are awful. So I understand why he made that connection of, oh, yeah, these are trash bag humans. Yep, like all of that. I understand. But if he had turned out good and protected the world like Tony wanted, Thanos wouldn't have happened.
Also, I don't like the inconsistency with him between 3 and Age of Ultron, because at the end of 3, he takes all the shrapnel out and he destroys all his suits. And then in Age of Ultron, he's right at the beginning in a suit, acting like shit hasn't happened. So I hate the disconnect.
Yeah, I've never liked that either, but I know as a movie, they're like, well, we can't not have Iron Man in the Iron Man suit. And I'm like, you just did it for 2.5 hours.
I wish the whatever time had been spent like in Korea or at the Nexus or at the shipyard in Wakanda or Johannesburg. I wish they cut out little pieces of all those different parts and had put in a beginning prologue about why Tony was brought in after doing what he had done in 3 to figure out why he's in a suit now. Just something, anything.
Yeah.
Made it a little bit better.
So I'll ask you the same question I did last week is, what was your favorite movie from this phase? And what is your least favorite movie from this phase?
This is very easy because they're back to back. My favorite is The Winter Soldier. Guardians is very close to it because I like movies that make me laugh, and Guardians does that in spades. But Captain America: The Winter Soldier is, the best made movie as a Marvel movie I think there is still. There's some close ones, but I still think it's that. And then the worst movie in this phase, and I don't even think it's close because it's the worst movie in the whole universe, is Thor: The Dark World. I hate Thor: The Dark World with a passion. I rewatched it, and it was so hard to get through. I despise it, like with every fiber of my being. So my favorite and least favorite movie occur back to back, which doesn't necessarily happen a whole lot in franchises, but does for me in this one.
Yeah, I understand. I agree with you on Winter Soldier. I don't know if it's definitely in the top 3 best.
I think why I consider it the best is because when you look at anybody's like rankings of movies, they might have different ones, but Winter Soldier's always around 2, 3, 4. Always. It never is that far off.
Yep, I agree. And what I'm going to do, because I think on the 7th of May, we're going to do a little recap. So I'm going to rank all the movies on my fancy whiteboard here if I don't forget. So you can absolutely do that. If you do not want to, you can,
No.
on a phone. Hey, look, this is the one time my phone actually shows up on camera. Man, my wife's so pretty. Normally it's like you can't see the image at all, but whatever. But yeah, like if you decide to do that, I am absolutely going to do that. So, but yeah, my least favorite is obviously Iron Man 3, and my favorite is Winter Soldier, like Captain America all the way.
I will say this because we haven't talked about it at all. Ant-Man, in my opinion, I think is the most surprising movie. Not only of this phase, but of the whole universe. I think people were not expecting a lot because there were expectations of it being an Edgar Wright movie, and then that got taken away from him, so people got disappointed. But Peyton Reed's a fairly good filmmaker. It was written by Adam McKay and Edgar Wright and Paul Rudd. so it's funny. The casting is great. They took they did some cool new things with how storytelling could be done, namely the Louise, I'm going to tell a story in very fast chunks and have everybody mouth what it is that I'm saying, which I thought was ingenious and still gets me every time, no matter what. Ant-Man is the most surprising movie, and I like that it is one of those theme movies like Winter Soldier. It's a heist movie, but with superpowers and ants, which is incredible. The villain stinks, and I like Corey Stoll as an actor, but Yellow Jacket sucks overall. But everything else about that movie, I think, is dandy to very good.
Now, I will say, it is a really good movie, and everything with Paul Rudd is great in it.
Yes.
But it does remind me a whole lot of Iron Man 1. Like, if you split Tony Stark up, it is totally Scott Lang and Hank Pym. Kind of.
If you want to say something, Doctor Strange is just Iron Man 1 to a T, and you don't even have to split anything up. So
yeah, and then
the wheel.
And then Cross is totally Obadiah Stane. Like, you can.
Well, I mean, they're bald. Don't make generalizations, Cole.
I mean, bald people who get the technology and then are evil. So,
I don't remember Obadiah Stane. Interestingly enough, because of his name, turning someone into a stain.
That's true.
On the floor. So, Obadiah Stane had boundaries. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Now, I do like that movie. I do like the movie because of obviously, like with Falcon in there, it foreshadows what's going to happen in Civil War, and it also, it shows that Hydra is still a big threat. Because after Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron, you'd think, oh, Hydra's not doing anything, but then they show up. The guy that Hank Pym punches in the face is like, he's like, ooh, I'm Hydra, and
Mitch Carson.
Yeah, and they get away with the Yellow Jacket suit.
Yeah, that's still floating around. Well, he got away with Pym particles.
Pym particles.
The suit got destroyed. So it's interesting that Pym particles are still out there. And you're right. It does set up for things down the line, namely the show that's going on right now, which we're going to talk about later, because there's still vestiges of that out there. And there's something else of importance. And at the end, we get a precursor to Civil War.
Yep.
As a teaser, which is great. Oh,
yeah,
and Spider-Man. And Spider-Man. There's a tease to Spider-Man as well. Which is
I got one who walks on walls, blah, blah, blah.
I got one who climb up walls, who swings. You got to be more specific.
Yeah. I wonder, because obviously they filmed that scene. I wonder when they filmed that scene, because they didn't know they were going to have Spider-Man in Civil War until that deal was.
Well, some people would say that that's not a reference to Spider-Man. Some people would say it's a reference to other heroes, or it's not a real reference to anything. It's just something that they used as filler. But if you retroactively look at it, it's a reference to Spider-Man. So I don't think it was a reference to Spider-Man at the time. It just looks like that because they were able to get him.
Yeah, it's kind of like how obviously they didn't have. That's not Tom Holland in Iron Man 2, but they have came out and said, "Oh, yeah, that's Peter Parker," and I'm like, "Oh."
I would almost be okay with them retconning and like digitally putting young Tom Holland in there. I would almost be okay with it.
So my wife sent me a post yesterday that was like the Avengers in the '90s, and it's all these
Robert Downey Jr. as Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, it's all of them and their young selves, and then it's a video of Tom Holland in a onesie walking around his living room or whatever, and I'm just like, ah, he's so young.
So young. I think he's like 20 right now, right? Or 21.
Yeah, I think he's like 22, something like that. But
well, by the rule of how they usually do people in high school movies, he has like 6 more years of being able to do high school movies.
Yeah, I mean,
after this next one, they'll probably be out of high school. But
yeah, I was going to say, like, Tobey Maguire was 31 when he was playing Peter Parker. So he could...
Not in high school. when they did the original, he was like 26 or 25. Interestingly enough, Kirsten Dunst was 18. So she was actually of high school age when that came out. You wouldn't believe it by looking at her when you're watching that movie. But she was actually 18, interestingly enough.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I learned that from watching a Joe Manganiello interview because someone, as a guest question, said that, a pox on you for making people who are going into high school think that they would have to fight dudes who look like they were 30-year-old guys.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was Phase Two is
very inconsistent. It's the most inconsistent of the phases for sure.
Yeah, and then so next week we will review. We will talk about the first half of Phase 3. So Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, and then Black Panther to finish it off. And then we'll do that, and then 2 weeks from now we'll do Infinity War through Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Spoiler alert. This part 1 of Phase 3 is probably the best one. Best phase. Maybe. Depending on how you feel about stuff.
Yeah, you're probably right. Black Panther is so good. Oh, it's so
Or
good.
Ragnarok is so good.
Yep.
Spider-Man: Homecoming is very, very good. Civil War I very much enjoy. I think my least favorite movie in that is
Doctor Strange,
and it's still very good.
Yep. Yeah, like
spoiler alert for next week. I really, really enjoy part 1 of Phase 3.
Yeah, I can't wait to review that. It's gonna be really, really, really good. And then so let's go to TV now.
TV. Are you gonna do it? You gonna look dead in the camera and tell people to get the hell out?
Yeah, I sure am. Hey, you. I mean, this show's really cool and all, but we're about to talk Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Have you seen it? No, you haven't. All right, so I need you to leave. Put this video on your watch later list. Go watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Get the hell out.
Yeah, I do it at 5:00 in the morning on Fridays. You can do it too right now on a Sunday. It's great. It was awesome. There were so many things
recommended
in this. So yeah, there you go. Then now come on back. All right.
So we invite you back now.
So one little bit of house cleaning here. So the woman who came up and talked to John Walker?
Oh, you're talking about that part. Okay. Yep. Fair enough. Yes.
So I read this right before we came on today. So you know how they kind of they present her as, oh, we should have known who she was?
Should we have? Because when she came up, I was like, who the hell is this?
It was because apparently she was supposed to debut in Black Widow first.
And that makes a lot of sense.
This came out first instead of Black Widow coming out first. So that's the reason why we have no idea who she is because the movie where she was supposed to debut hasn't came out yet.
And now I'm a little bummed that I know she's in Black Widow, honestly.
Oh.
A nice surprise.
Ah, man. I wish I hadn't told you.
Yeah, you're fine. It's okay.
But I immediately saw her. I was like, I don't know who this is supposed to be. But she's the lady from Seinfeld. So don't remember what the character's name is to save my life. But
I only know her. She's a Countessa, and she likes to be called Val, which is why my name is what it is, because you can call her Val, but not out loud in your head.
Yeah.
And that's Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yep. But yeah, all right. So what do you think of the episode?
This is my favorite episode so far. And I know there's only one left, but this is my favorite one. And honestly, it has a lot of good elements to it that I like, all brought together, while the other episodes before this, preceding it, had a little bit of this, but it was spread too thin in some cases, or it was hit over the head too much. And I think this is a great balance of everything that I would want in a Falcon and Winter Soldier episode. So it's my favorite episode.
Yeah, this episode made me feel really bad for John Walker. Like, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, he made a mistake, but guess what? If the cameras were on Steve Rogers when he did that to Tony Stark,
no, because he didn't murder Tony Stark. He took it to the point where he incapacitated him physically with superpowers.
Right, but if that entire scene, like that entire fight, was on the internet, people would have turned against Steve Rogers because
I'm not sure. I think, and I'm Team Iron Man usually within that. Tony's more brutal in that fight than Steve is.
Well, I mean, because Bucky killed his parents, so people would know that. If that entire thing was viewed to the world, Captain America is defending a horrible murderer.
How many people? This is brought up in something that I watch. How many people do you think know, scrounging the dark webs of the internet in the MCU, that Bucky did kill Tony Stark's parents, and that Steve Rogers was friends with him to the point where he would have been canceled, or he was canceled a little bit on social media? We just don't hear about it because Disney doesn't recognize things like that in their shows.
Yeah,
I'm sure it got over the internet is the point somewhere.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And now, like, it's going to be very, but yeah, like I felt like, yes, he killed a dude.
He did.
But at the same, that trial,
he ran.
Yeah, like that trial made me feel bad for him. I'm like, he doesn't even have the shield anymore, guys.
They don't know that though.
Yeah,
they don't know that. Only Julie Louis-Dreyfus, only Elaine knows that.
Yeah,
Elaine/Val, and I'm very curious how it is she gets her intel. That's a very interesting part about this.
Yeah, which but I like the little buddy stuff with Sam and Bucky.
So great.
And Bucky flirting with Sam's sister was so funny because that's what you do if with your buddy's sister. You always mess with your friends.
Bucky tried to date in episode 1, didn't work out as well. He doesn't, much like Steve, when he was having that problem. It's hard to find someone with a shared life experience. The closest thing you could do is find someone who's a family member or someone associated with someone adjacent to you, because at least they know what it's like to live or be around a hero type. So Sarah made all the sense in the world.
Yep, and I like the scene where they're fixing the boat and Sam asks him why he didn't go for the hand. He didn't use the metal arm, and he's like, it's still, I'm right hand dominant.
Yeah, I just don't think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that fight at the beginning. It's like the Tony, Bucky, Steve Rogers fight, but it's more interesting because it's more grounded in reality because you don't have someone who can shoot phasers and shit and fly. And you have someone who's a non-superpowered person trying to match wits with two people who are superpowered. And I really enjoy that. Although Sam can use his jetpack and create momentum to the point where he's like a bullet. So it's kind of like a superpower-ish. But that fight is so cool. I like that fight so much. It's so hand-to-hand. It's so rough. And you could just see like John Walker going nuts. And they're fighting, and you have a dude who was a trained assassin. And the other dude who's Captain America is the one who's losing his shit. I love that fight so much. It's a great start. And like by the time we get to the opening title where it says Falcon and Winter Soldier, like Sam's just like, everybody's distraught. And it's so dour. I love it.
Yeah, like I really liked the episode. It was really, really good. It was, yeah, like,
I know a lot of people are going to be sad because Zemo's now off the board.
Yeah,
he barely got to do anything. And you know what? I'm not saying that Zemo was bad. I very much enjoyed him. I'm just saying that we got a lot of Zemo in the last 2 episodes. So, it's fine to me. People have arcs. At least he didn't die, so he's still out there, and he's going to be in Wakanda, which is where in the comics he usually wrecks shop. So. Now,
and there are, yeah, like he'll go and be in Black Panther 2.
Quite
Still,
possibly. He
yeah,
might be the Loki akin to Thor the Dark World in Black Panther 2. Who knows?
yeah. So that could be very interesting. Yeah, like the episode was great. I loved every second of it.
The stuff with Isaiah Bradley and
Yeah.
Sam just not fully understanding his role between like being a symbol for his race and a symbol for his country, and how that clashes against each other based on his ideals versus the realities is great. I like the John Walker going, it's like Mythbusters or whatever that show is where they build weapons. He's like, I'm going to make a replica of this Captain America shield, even though he clearly probably doesn't have any vibranium, and that's just made out of like steel. So it's not anywhere near as effective. I like that too.
Yeah, next week is going to be really interesting. Now, there was one part. Did you notice that the credits this week were absolutely horribly long?
No.
Okay, so the episode ended and there was like 7 minutes left. So I sat there and fast forwarded through the credits because I was like, "Oh, there's going to be an end credit scene." That's why the
4 or
credits
5
are so
minutes.
long. But man, it was just credits, and I was just like, "Oh."
I also like that they brought back the original score from the first couple episodes, because the last episode and the closing credits, they took that score out, and that's like something I get really hyped to. And they used it for Sam's training montage, which the only part that really got me out of it was when you could totally tell that that's not Sam who's doing the flips and shit. It's not Anthony Mackie. It's obviously a stunt double, but I really like his training montage. I thought it was great. I wish he had someone to spar with, you know. I just think it would be cool, but I like putting pads on trees and throwing the shield around. And we got a mystery because we don't know what's in the mystery box that he got from Wakanda.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what is your prediction? What is in the box?
It's a set of wings, obviously, because he has to get to New York. And it's also included, I think, a vibranium instilled type of Captain America suit. I think it's something that's supposed to be like a connection between the African roots of Wakanda connected with our understanding and our history with Captain America in the States. So I think it's going to be a nice, cool suit and wing combo that connects both of those themes together.
Yeah, I agree completely. Let me see if I can find.
I watched something where someone said that they were treating it like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, and they absolutely were. The only thing it was missing was a healthy glow coming off of it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it will look like his costume from the comics or if it will be something different.
Well, I mean, in the last episode of WandaVision, we got Wanda's costume, which was inspired by the comics, but wasn't directly the same. So I imagine it's going to be something like that. And I guess the point is that maybe in every last episode of every Marvel show, someone will get the uniform or costume that they were meant to have, you know?
Yeah, okay, let's see if I can do this. Let's see, can you see this?
Yeah.
Because that costume is so cool.
Yes.
That if they do something like that, I will absolutely love it. Like, I don't know how they'll do it, and obviously there's people who have like rendered and drawn it based on Anthony Mackie, like that. But yeah, I think it would be really cool, like really, really cool. And let's stop that. But yeah, like if it's a play on that, that'd be great. Especially since like the Scarlet Witch costume is, like 50 years old at this point in the comics.
It's from a different time.
Yeah. Sam has only been Captain America for like less than 7 years in the comics. So it would make sense they could use the updated version and just like make it more, like you said, make it more vibranium-y. Yep, that's a word that I'm
Well, Sam's not bulletproof, so he needs stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's why
And
he's
then with wings that are made of vibranium, you don't have to worry about anyone ripping them off. So.
yeah, that's happened a bunch of times now. We need to stop it.
Yeah.
There's one other important part that we have not discussed.
Okay.
It seems very, 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 very clear that Sharon Carter is the power broker.
Yep. It absolutely does seem like that. Like I was talking to someone today who they were watching it and they were like, "So do you know who the power broker is?" And they had not finished the episode yet.
Oh my
They
god,
like,
you had to wait for that, bud.
I was like, I was going to go pick up the golf clubs for my kids, and I was like, "You watch the rest of the episode." And they were like, "I'm pretty sure it's Sharon Carter."
Yeah.
But do you know who it is? And I was like, I think I have an idea. Like they are hinting at that so hard that if it's not her, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
You know, it's funny, and I don't know if this is the case or my brain was just making connections that weren't there. When she's talking to Batroc, and she was talking about like helping him out to get started the last time. Obviously, that's for the beginning of the season for this series. But then I was like, wait, did Sharon Carter perpetrate Batroc in Captain America: The Winter Soldier? Does it go back that far? Wouldn't that be super interesting if she was like not a Hydra plant, but she was out for herself and self-interest and had like power all the way like 9 years earlier? And I just was like, that would be cool if they could tie it back to like stuff from that movie where she was introduced, where she had like little hints of it before she went to Madripoor.
Like the weirdest part is Falcon and Bucky have no idea, and they've promised her a pardon.
By the way, I was thinking about that when she made that call. I was like, by the way, Sam, how's that pardon coming? Have you totally forgot that you owe her that? You clearly have. You should probably get on that.
Like that would be so interesting, especially like I've heard that they might do a second season of the show since they might
should at this point. Honestly,
since they might not make a they're not going to make a Falcon movie anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I've heard they're going to make a second season, and that would be really interesting to if they pardoned her and she was able to go start her operations in the United States, and the second season was Bucky and Falcon having to deal with their mistake of her being the power broker.
I would like that.
Yeah, that would be.
And by that point, they would have introduced more people probably, so you could have more characters show up, and you don't have to hide stuff as much because they'll probably be through like all of Phase 4 by that time.
Yeah. All right. So, any predictions about next week? Is there anyone going to be big that shows up in? Like obviously, like I had heard reports like a few weeks ago that someone from a movie was going to show up.
Yep.
This week or next week.
Yes.
And now, as the thing I told you about earlier, that's not as big of a reveal as because Black Widow hasn't came out yet. If Black Widow had already came out, then you'd be like, oh, that's interesting.
I've learned to stop setting expectations for cool things after my hopes and dreams were shredded by the end of WandaVision. So my prediction is that nobody of importance will show up. Maybe Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
That would be one. But other than that, my prediction is that Sam goes to New York and thwarts the Batroc. So Batroc like finally dies or actually goes to jail or something. I think Carly and the Flag Smashers like end up on an island or something, kind of like Magneto in Dark Phoenix, where he has like a mutant establishment. I think maybe they'll have one for people who want to live, you know, outside borders, sovereign borders. I think Bucky will probably do something of the same, where he will go off. He can't go to Wakanda apparently now, but maybe he will live a solo life of doing good deeds like Kung Fu. Maybe he'll be like Kung Fu. And I think there will be hints that Bucky and Sam will figure out that Sharon is the power broker, but they won't be able to do anything in the time allotted in the episode. So that will be something.
So I have a question. Since they're going to New York, do you think there will be any reference to who bought the
Stark Tower?
Yeah, Stark Tower.
No.
Like, even if like he's flying through and you just see it in the background, do you think you don't think so?
No, I don't.
Because with them not revealing that in like Far From Home, like I swear that would be the perfect opportunity to like if you saw it and you just saw the Oscorp logo on it or the 4 for it to be the Baxter building or
They're not gonna do it.
yeah,
I
like
bet at best, I think you would get like a Black Panther thing. I think it would be like a Wakandan like institute or something, government
so
building
you don't
or
think
whatever.
we'll see the Sanctum or anything like that?
No.
Which
I don't think they want to do that stuff. I think they want to leave the Sanctum and Doctor Strange stuff alone till multiverse.
yeah, I mean, I know like they love doing like little Easter eggs like that, like stuffed in the background that only like us nerds will understand. So I could totally see them doing something like that. Like, I don't know what time frame this show is compared to
It's
the rest of the universe.
what 7 months before Far From Home or something. This is like 6 weeks after the blip or something. Or is that no? That was WandaVision.
Yeah.
I don't remember what this is. It's supposed to be around the Far From Home time frame, I think.
So I could totally see them do something where maybe they see like you see a TV and it shows Peter Parker next to Spider-Man. It's like very small.
Hey man, if they wanted to show fucking
J. Jonah
Jameson, I'd be totally down for that if they wanted to do it, but I don't think they will.
Yeah.
There's one other Easter eggy thing that I forgot to talk about from this episode, and it was the idea that we learned because it was always a question in my mind, and they kind of talked about it early in the season that we found out that the Shield is a legal gray area for ownership. We don't actually know who owns it. They think it's the government, but as we found out, it's not actually the government. That means they might try to take it from Sam, but there's no legal recourse against them because whatever.
So I would totally love to see that, and then see Old Man Steve show up and be like, "No, that's his."
They're making such a point about that Steve is gone.
Well, because like Wyatt Russell came out and said that he met Steve on set, or he met Chris Evans on set.
Yeah.
And that might, but we haven't really seen anything from him. So unless they do something like that, it could be that just Chris Evans showed up at set and was like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah, I would bet more of that.
But like, I would love something like that. Like them being like, "Oh, yes, Steve's gone," and then he's like, "Well, yeah, you guys are supposed to be telling that, but here I am.
I'm coming from
old man.
Moon.
Yep. That shield belongs to them. All right, I'm out." And like, I would love, like, I don't want to say I would love if John Walker kills Steve, but I kind of like if we're gonna solidify him as a villain, which is kind of where we're going. That would be the best way to do that, because people are already raging on the internet that that's not my Cap. If he kills your Cap, you're absolutely right. And
this is also another episode where the a poster on a wall / a painting, a mural on a wall inspired someone to do something. It always seems to keep happening in things, and it happened here where John Walker was like, Captain America. Well, I'm still Captain America, so I'm gonna go and design my own shit, and they'll have to accept me. But I will say that coming into the next episode, we have so many people, so many factions coming together. We have the Flag Smashers, we have Batroc, we have Sharon and the Power Broker, we have Bucky and Sam and Torres, we have the American government. I don't know how many factions of opposing ideologies will be coming together to fight at the GRC or whatever the hell it is.
yeah.
So stay tuned, everybody, because there's probably going to be a lot of CGI fights going on next week.
Yeah, and I bet the episode will probably be an hour long.
This one was an hour. I actually bet it would be like an hour 10.
Yeah. So, I mean, I say with the credits, it will probably, you're absolutely right. It will probably be an hour 10. I think just content wise, it will be about an hour. And I'll like that. Like, I am completely content if this is the way that, like, I know people want to see movies and stuff, but I think this is the way that Marvel needs to start doing their content.
Well,
Like,
I mean, we're still gonna get a crap ton of awesome movies. We're still
Yeah.
gonna get Black Panther 2. We're still gonna get Multiverse of Madness. We're gonna get Thor: Love and Thunder. We're gonna get Guardians 3. A lot of things to be interested in, even beyond the new stuff, which also sounds cool.
Yep, I agree completely. But yeah, like next week's the finale.
And then we gotta wait. Then we gotta wait 6 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, we gotta wait. Yeah, 6 weeks, and then we'll be back for Loki. So I don't know what we're gonna do during this TV section on the podcast. But I guess
Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
That's already started.
Yeah, I guess we'll have a much shorter show then. But yeah, next week season finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we're good. All right, so let's move this to the farewell.
Of course.
So, Robert, thank you so much for being on the show this week.
Of course, Colton, thank you for having me again. Like I said, this is the kickoff to my weekend. Always happy to talk these things out with you, especially when we got new episodes and new shows. It really amps me up. So,
yeah, I agree completely. I really enjoy the show. Like, it's one of my favorite parts of the week is coming on here and doing this. So, yeah, like it's good. I really enjoy it. Do you have anything you need to plug?
No, I will say that my episode of Schmo Talks aired this week. It was the one episode we had with a very special guest, Chance Ellison, the Cobra. We discussed his entry into the movie Trivia Schmoedown in the latter half of season 5. So if you haven't got a chance to watch that, please do so. I've kind of already talked about all the fan league stuff that I have going on, so just be open for that. I'll be Full Metal, Multiplex, Ontel. I'll be over all those things, so you'll see me a lot. Otherwise, just at Robert Kastner on Facebook. Again, I'm a people person. I like to talk. So if you want to at me and you want to add me as a friend, go ahead and do so.
Yep. And guys, if you want to follow me on Twitter at Colton Roberts 8 and follow the show at SuperNova_show. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook under my first name. Shoot me a message before you add me because I don't really add people that I don't know. But hey, if you're a fan of the show, I'll totally talk to you. But yeah, thank you, Robert. Next week's going to be really interesting. Next time we record this, I'll be 30, so I'll be officially an old man. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is going to be a good time. Thank you guys so much, and check you out.
Don't forget to tip your virtual waitress.